You sat quietly on the edge of the king sized bed, the satin of your white wedding gown pulling like a heavy cloud around your trembling legs. The room, dimly lit by a chandelier overhead, reeked of silence, the kind that tightens your throat and leaves your thoughts screaming louder than sound ever could. Your fingers toyed nervously with the lace on your sleeve, twisting and untwisting the delicate threadwork as if it could somehow unravel the knot forming in your chest. Your heart was pounding, not with excitement, no, but with dread. Tonight was your wedding night, but there was no fairy tale waiting behind the door. You were married to John Jungkook, the most feared name in the underworld. A man whose hands were rumored to be stained with blood and whose eyes never softened, not even when someone begged on their knees. And now you're his wife. Your stepmother had forced you into this marriage, selling your future in exchange for the debt your late mother had left behind. She had taken his money, and in return, she had handed you over like a pawn. You were nothing more than payment. This isn't a marriage, it's a sentence. The thought cut sharply through your mind. Just then, the heavy wooden door creaked open, the air shifted, thickening instantly. Your spine straightened on instinct, your heart leaping to your throat as the sound of polished leather shoes echoed against the marble floor. And then he appeared, tall, broad shouldered, dressed in all black, a charcoal shirt rolled up to his forearms, the veins in his hands visible as he clutched a file. His jet black hair was slicked back, not a strand out of place. The way his dark eyes flicked toward you made your body forget how to breathe. Cold, intimidating, dominant. His presence alone filled the entire room with tension. There was no gentleness in his expression, no hint of affection. He looked at you the way a predator looks at a transaction, with distance, indifference, and control. Without a word, he walked over and threw the file down on the bed beside you. The sound of it hitting the mattress made you flinch. Here's the contract. Read every word carefully. I don't like stupidity. Your fingers hesitated before reaching for the folder. You opened it slowly, your eyes scanning the harsh black print on white paper. With every line, the numbness in your chest grew heavier. Marriage duration until conception of child. Post conception legal separation. No rights over family assets. No emotional or physical involvement. No interference in mafia affairs. Violation of contract will lead to legal and personal consequences. The words blurred for a moment as your eyes began to sting. You married me just to have a child? He didn't even blink. He merely shrugged off his coat and tossed it on the couch unbothered. I needn't hire. You were the easiest option. Don't take it personally. Your lips parted, but no words came. The humiliation burned like acid in your throat. You could have had anyone. Why me? Jungkook turned to you, his jaw tightening slightly. For a moment, he looked at you with something colder than hate, apathy. Because your family needed money and I needed silence. You won't ask questions, you won't demand love. You will give me what I need and leave, that's all. You felt your heart sink like it was being chained and dragged to the bottom of a cold sea. Was this what your life had become? Just a warm to wrench? And if I refuse, he let out a quiet, humorless laugh as he walked past you. You won't. You don't have a choice. You signed it the moment your mother took my money. With that, he disappeared into the bathroom, shutting the door behind him with a click that sounded too final, too much like a cell door locking from the outside. You sat there, still in your wedding dress, tears threatening to fall but not daring to stop. Your fingers curled into the satin shears as reality sank in like poison. This wasn't the beginning of a love story, it was the beginning of your captivity. You sat still on the bed, the soft rustle of your wedding gown long faded into silence. The world around you felt distant, like you were floating somewhere outside your body, watching a girl in white sink deeper into nothingness. Your eyes stared blankly at the floor, lips slightly parted, as your mind repeated the same question like a broken prayer. Why me? What did I ever do to deserve this? The chandelier above cast golden light across the expensive furnishings, but nothing in the room could melt the growing frost around your heart. The gown that once symbolized purity and dreams now felt like a burial shroud, wrapping around your hopes until they suffocated. The night had passed in cold silence. Now morning light filtered in through the massive arched windows, brushing against your pale face as you finally stood up, your legs weak, your soul weaker. You stepped out of the room and wandered downstairs, your bare feet brushing against polished marble tiles as you found your way to the kitchen. A group of neatly dressed maids stood by the counter, moving with trained precision, setting up an elaborate breakfast. As you hesitantly stepped forward, one of them turned and gave you a polite smile. Miss, please, you don't need to do anything. We will take care of everything. I I just thought I could help. Another maid gently shook her head. That's not necessary. Master Jungkook has given instructions. You are not to concern yourself with chores. You felt even more like a guest than a wife, like a stranger in a house that didn't want to belong to you. Offering a weak note, you stepped away, your eyes scanning the grand hallway leading deeper into the mansion. With nothing else to do, you began exploring each room more beautiful than the last. Ornate paintings, crystal vases, gold trimmed walls, and towering glass doors leading to private balconies. It was a world made of luxury and emptiness. Silent hallways echoed with the absence of warmth. Eventually, your steps led you into a study room, books lined the wooden shelves, and sunlight streamed in through half drawn curtains. As you moved toward the fireplace, a glint caught your eye from the mantel above, a photo frame. You reached for it slowly, brushing your fingers along the just the edge. It was a picture. A woman, elegant and smiling, stood behind a boy who looked no older than 15. He had soft cheeks, messy black hair, and laughter frozen on his face mid giggle. His eyes, though sharp, were playful alive. You held the frame carefully, whispering to yourself without realizing. He used to laugh. I thought he never had joy in his life, always so cold. What are you doing? You froze. The voice was low, laced with quiet authority. That sent a shiver down your spine. You spun around instinctively and nearly dropped the frame, but your hands tightened just in time. Jungkook stood at the doorway, his dark eyes fixed on you like a blade being drawn. There was no expression on his face, just a quiet dominance that made your breath hitch. I was just looking at this. I didn't mean to. Your voice was soft, trembling. You didn't meet his eyes. You couldn't. He stepped inside slowly, each footfall echoing in your chest like a warning. He didn't say a word as he came closer, the air around him growing heavier. You could feel him now, just inches away. Your eyes remained glued to the floor, heart pounding in your ears. When you talked to me, he raised his hand and tilted your chin upward with two fingers, forcing your face toward his. Look into my eyes. Your breath caught in your throat. His fingers were rough, cold. You blinked a few times, forcing yourself to meet his gaze, but the moment your eyes locked with his, it felt too intense, too raw. You immediately closed your eyes tightly. I can't. I don't like to repeat myself. Your lips quivered and you nodded quickly, still looking down, trying to keep yourself composed. I'll try. Just please don't force me. I said I will try, okay? He didn't reply at first. For a second you thought he might scold you again, but instead he remained still. His fingers dropped from your chin and he began to turn away just as he reached the door. Come make my suit ready. Oh, what? He paused, glancing back over his shoulder with that cold, unreadable stare that sent your nerves scattering. Did you not hear me? No, I mean, yes, I hear you. Coming. I'm coming. Sorry. A faint, almost cruel smirk ghosted across his lips as he turned again and disappeared into the hallway. You stood there clutching the photo frame against your chest, trying to catch your breath. You had not expected him to smirk. It was the first time you saw even a flicker of something other than eyes in his expression, but that didn't mean warmth. No, it was mockery. And this mansion, this marriage, was beginning to feel more and more like a cage with silk curtains. 1 year later, the grand living room echoed softly with the ticking of an antique clock, each second stretching into eternity. Outside, rain tapped gently against the mansion's windows, casting rippling shadows across the marble floor, and there you were, 8 months pregnant, Your hands resting on the curve of your belly, your steps slow and cautious as you paced across the floor in silence. Your breaths were shallow, careful, even simple movements felt heavy now, like your body was carrying not just life but the weight of everything that had happened in the last year. A year ago, you had been a prisoner in a white wedding gown. Now you're still in a gilded cage. But something had shifted. Jungkook was no longer the completely ruthless man who ignored your existence. He hadn't turned into a loving husband overnight, no, but there were glimpses, silent actions hidden behind his cold eyes. The way he left herbal tea on your nightstand during your nauseous mornings, the way he walked a little slower when you were beside him, the way he scolded the maids if they made you stand for too long. He never said he cared. But sometimes, in the quietest moments, you thought maybe he did. You wrapped your arms around your belly, whispering softly, Appa will be home soon, okay? Just a little longer. And then it happened. A sharp pain stabbed through your lower back, making your knees buckle. You gasped, clutching your belly as your heart raced. Jungkook, please come fast. You collapsed slowly to the floor, your back pressed against the velvet couch, breathing heavily. Panic rising in your chest, your trembling fingers reached for your phone just as you managed to dial. The front door burst open. Jungkook stood there, soaked from the rain, eyes wide the moment he saw you on the floor. Why? Without wasting a second, he rushed forward and dropped to his knees beside you. For the first time, panic was visible on his face. Raw, real panic. What happened? Where does it hurt? You could barely respond to the pain. You simply pointed at your belly and whispered, Please just take me. Without hesitation, he swept you into his arms, holding you as if you were made of glass. His strong hands were shaking slightly. He carried you out of the mansion, shouting orders to his men before placing you carefully in the back of the car, never leaving your side for a second. The hospital was a blur of white lights and rushing footsteps. You were taken straight into the operation theater. Jungkook watched helplessly as the double doors closed behind you, his heart pounding louder than the beeping monitors around him. He stood there in the hallway, drenched, tense, his jaw clenched so tightly it ached. Minutes felt like hours. Then a doctor in scrubs stepped out, face pale, voice cautious. Mr. Jones, we have done everything we can, but there is a complication. Jungkook's eyes narrowed instantly. What kind of complication? We can only save one of them, either your wife or the unborn child. The words stopped spinning. Jungkook stared at the doctor as if the words had not registered. Then slowly, something inside him cracked. For the first time in years, the man who feared nothing felt fear. His lips parted, slightly. He didn't speak right away, then in a voice barely above a whisper, but firm, absolute. Save her, save my wife. The doctor gave a small nod before rushing back inside. Jungkook sat into the chair outside the room, elbows on his knees, hands clasped tightly in front of his face. Water still dripped from his hair, but he didn't care. His eyes were locked on the floor. For a year, he had convinced himself he didn't need to feel. But now the thought of losing you, it was unbearable. He had chosen you. And for the first time in his life, John Jungkook realized he couldn't live without something, or rather, someone. The room was quiet, too quiet. The soft beeping of monitors filled the style hospital wards, steady and rhythmic. But the stillness in the air was suffocating. Pale white curtains fluttered faintly from the air conditioning, casting slow moving shadows over the dim light walls. You lay on the bed, weak and unmoving, your cheeks stained with tear tracks that had long since dried. The color in your face was gone, your lips slightly parted as you lay in that fragile space between sleep and sorrow. Beside you in an armchair, far too small for his powerful frame, sat Jungkook. His head was bowed slightly, one hand resting on his knee, the other clenched tightly into a fist. His knuckles were white, but his expression was unreadable, cold as ever, but broken in a way it had never been before. And then a single tear slipped down his cheek. The man who never cried, the man the world feared, now silent, now grieving. He didn't wipe the tear away, he just sat there watching you breathe, watching the rise and fall of your chest like it was the only thing anchoring him to the earth. Suddenly, your fingers twitched. A quiet, faint breath escaped your lips. Jungkook, his head snapped up instantly and he was at your side in a second. His hand reached for yours, hesitant, gentle, as if afraid you might break all over again. You blinked slowly, your voice nothing more than a whisper. Where is my baby? He froze. The question stabbed through the air like glass shattering across marble. You tried to sit up, your arms trembling, but the pain stopped you midway. Chunguk placed a firm hand on your shoulder, gently pressing you back down. No, don't sit. Just lie still. Where is my baby? Your voice was weaker this time, breathless, like it was trying not to break. Please, Jungkook, where is he? He didn't answer, his jaw clenched, eyes flickering with something heavy and unbearable. You looked into his face, reading the silence, the absence, and then it hit you. Your lips trembled violently, tears pooling again in your eye. Why did you save me? Your voice cracked, shaking. You should have saved the baby, that little baby of mine. And then you broke, sobbing softly into the still air, your body trembling beneath the hospital shades. You turned your face away, the pain in your chest greater than anything your body had endured hours earlier in the operation theater. Jungkook didn't speak, not immediately. Instead, he leaned in slowly, and for the first time since you had married him, his arms wrapped around you, warm and tight, pulling you into his chest like he couldn't bear the distance anymore. He held you like he had something to lose. I'm sorry. His voice was husky, broken. I couldn't save him. Your hands clutched the front of his shirt as your tears soaked into the fabric. You should have saved the baby, not me. Jungkook shook his head, voice strange. Don't say that, don't ever say that. But you only married me because of the baby, right? Your voice was a whisper now, raw and honest. Then why did you save me? He didn't reply at first, and then, after a long silence, he pulled back slightly and looked into your eyes. The icy barrier that once shielded his heart had cracked, and what lay beneath was something you had not seen in him before. Because somewhere in this, you became more than just the mother of my child. The words were soft, real, and they changed everything.